New year, new me, new videos. But before we get started, just a couple of little announcements to make. Over the next few months, I'm still going to be uploading as much as I usually upload, just the videos are going to be a little bit shorter. So I'm not going to be dropping any 40-minute or over an hour long bad boys, they're all going to be about 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm trying to get ahead of time as much as possible because my wife's due date is coming up and we've got a feeling that the baby's going to be coming a little bit early. My wife is going to have to get a C-section because she's got a little touch of that placenta previa, unfortunately, but that means that obviously my wife is going to be bedridden after such a major operation, and I've got a toddler and a brand new baby to look after. So as you can imagine, maybe a lot of you don't know this, but that can make a man very busy. That's going to be a very, very busy time for me. So the videos are still going to be interesting topics that I've put on the back burner because I like making big videos, so these ones have kind of, they've taken a back seat a little bit, so it's still going to be interesting. They're just not going to be the big, massive, epic ones that I usually make, because I obviously won't be able to spend so much time in the studio. I'll have to spend it at home, because it turns out that children need looking after. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I thought that was her job. But then, because she's had major surgery, that lazy bitch is going to be lying in bed. But I'm just setting your expectations just to let you all know. And obviously, once the baby's born, I'll be taking a little bit of a hiatus, obviously. I mean, you know why. It's going to be a very busy but also magical time, the birth of my second child. And it's not going to be long. I'll be away for like 2 weeks, maybe, because the problem with being self-employed and having a company and having staff is you don't really get the luxury of time off because things and staff all cost money, so you need to keep bloody working. Also, another thing as well, 1 million subs. 1 million subs. And thank you very much to every single one of you that have subscribed to the channel. And believe it or not, it was a surprise to me, and I'm sure you'll all be surprised as well. YouTube approved me for my gold play button. I thought I was going to have to fight for it. No, just got approved. So I'm waiting on that coming in the mail. So that YouTube play button will be the greatest thing to happen to me this year. I mean, my daughter being born as well, it's fine. No, I'm not going to be a prick about that. I'm very happy. But yes, now that I've set everyone's expectations and you know what's happening over the next few months, in case you're wondering why I've just disappeared or why the videos are a lot shorter, now you know. Or well, some of you will know, because unfortunately, not everyone watches the Celtic Myths videos. And on that note, it is time for another mythological creature that you would mostly find sitting on the shore. Usually with the appearance of a beautiful woman, but don't let that fool you, because it's probably for the best that you keep your distance. The Selkie. But before we get started, this video is brought to you by Raycon. With Raycon earbuds, you can greatly enhance your listening experience with incredible quality at half the price of other premium audio brands. The new everyday earbuds are better than ever, with an improved rubber look and feel that is both sleek and stylish. They have been specifically modified through many design iterations to seamlessly fit the curvature of your ears, as well as including varying optimized gel tips for your comfort and security, regardless of the size of your ears. Previous customers have given over 50,000 5-star reviews online. I really like how the comfortable Raycon earbuds fit in my ear without me having to worry about them falling out. I have recently been listening to the Mad Capsule Markets, which is certainly some music that will get you up in the morning. Raycons are also more adaptable than ever, with a built-in mic that allows you to take a call at the push of a button and with easy-to-use media controls. They are also compatible with both Siri and Alexa and include 3 default audio profiles for you to customize your listening experience. Enjoy your music and videos with high-quality bass and passive noise isolation for true immersion. Raycons are also resistant to sweat and water, so they can survive being accidentally dropped in a puddle or going through the washing washing machine. Raycons offer up to 8 hours of playtime and 32 hours of battery life. So if you want to get some top tier earbuds while also supporting my channel, then click my link in the description box down below or go to buyraycon.com/Dankula to get an exclusive deal of up to 15% off site-wide. Selkies are a combined mythological creature from Nordic and Celtic folklore, and they are not primarily harmful to humans. In fact, they are mostly beneficial to us. They are also referred to as Kobyenta, meaning seal young woman, or Selkvina, meaning seal woman. Others simply call them seal folk or Finn folk. In Scotland, Selkie folklore comes from the Orkney and Shetland Islands, which were settled and inhabited by Norwegians in the year 800, and while it took a long time, they eventually had a cultural merge with Scotland around the year 1400. Selkies are usually described as being attractive women that can turn into seals, and they do this by wearing seal skins, and they can transform back and forth into a human or a seal by simply taking the skin off and putting it back on. There are also male Selkies, but they seem to be much rarer in folk tales. Some believe that Selkies are never in an in-between state. They are either in their seal form or their human form, and they use their seal forms for travelling long distances, hunting, fishing, and also to hide from humans. It is believed that Selkies live in an ocean paradise on the sea floor, where they use their human forms, something kind of similar to Atlantis. Because it is better, down where it's wetter, naturally. Now, even though I've just made a Little Mermaid joke, Selkies are not mermaids, but they very often get confused for them. Mermaids are half woman, half fish, whereas Selkies have a human form and a seal form. Nothing at all to do with fish, apart from eating them. But both Selkies and mermaids can be referred to under the umbrella terms of sea folk or sea maidens. During heavy sea storms in the past, where boats were very often destroyed and shipwrecked, Selkies were thought to come to the aid of the fishermen and sailors, helping them to shore when they would otherwise have drowned. However, Selkies would very quickly change their tune if the fishermen or sailors tried to hunt one of them, mistaking them for an actual seal. During hard times, seal blubber was, and still is, a very popular commodity in places with cold climates, to be used for both food and fuel. So seal hunting was very common, but it can be hard to avoid hunting Selkies when they hang around with seals and look exactly like seals. And if a fisherman ever went after a Selkie, it wouldn't end well for him. If a Selkie was injured, then it would hunt the fisherman that had harmed it. And some people even thought that the Selkie could place a curse on the fisherman. The curse would end in various mishaps, but usually always resulted in death. Usually by drowning in the sea, or sometimes falling off a cliff. Selkies were also believed to have the gift of foresight, where they could see the future, but they could never change it. In one old tale that has very many variations, which is pretty much the standard when it comes to mythological stories, a man found a bunch of sealskins laying on the beach, and he noticed that nearby there were some very attractive women laughing and bathing in the sea. Having heard the myths of the Selkie, he took one of the sealskins and he hid. Shortly afterwards, the women returned back to the beach. They put their sealskins back on and transformed back into seals. They got in the water and swam away. Except for one of the women whose skin had been stolen. She was left on the beach, very upset since she couldn't find her skin and join her family. The man then approached the Selkie and managed to persuade her to go home with him. After living together for some time, the man and the Selkie ended up getting married and had many children together. The man was very happy with his lot in life, but as for the Selkie, Not a single day went by where she didn't wish she could return to the sea and be with her own kind. But she couldn't because her skin was missing. But she didn't know that the man was the one who took it, because he hid it from her. In the Icelandic version of this tale, named Selkie, the story is actually a lot darker, and the man actually forces the Selkie into marrying him and essentially makes her a slave. But then one day, one of her children actually found her sealskin hidden in the roof, and the Selkie mother recognised it right away. She immediately snatched it from the hands of the children, said her goodbyes to them, and just abandoned everything. She went straight towards the beach as fast as she could, and she was never seen or heard from again. This is a very common tale in both Nordic and Celtic folklore, though, like with many of the old myths, there are lots of different variations of the story. In one, she actually finds the hidden sealskin herself, but she finds it in a locked chest. Some believe that children that are born from Selkies and humans are not like normal children. For example, they apparently have webbed fingers and webbed toes, and they sometimes even have seal parts or facial seal features. Almost all of the cold northern countries have their own adaptation of this story. The rarest Selkie was the male Selkie, and they were also the most hated by believers, since it was believed they would swim onto the beach during stormy nights and transform into their human form, which would be a peak alpha male sailor that had been shipwrecked. They would then travel to a nearby settlement and knock on each door to ask for food and shelter, until someone answered. The real goal of the male Selkie was not to find somewhere cosy to spend the night among the humans, but to seduce the wife or older daughter of whatever family was silly enough to let him in, where he would then take them back home with him to his home in the sea. Some people believe that this arrangement was consensual, but other people believe that the women were taken against their will and under some kind of spell. It was thought that women were magically charmed by them. Male Selkies never stay on land for too long, often returning back to the sea as soon as possible, so they try not to waste too much time to find a woman to take back with them. The kidnapping might have had some truth to it, but it also would have just been easier for a man to cope if he just said his wife had been kidnapped by a Selkie, instead of just admitting that she ran off with a far more attractive sailor. There are a lot of warnings for women in Celtic mythology that are mostly invented to keep them away from more powerful and more attractive men. It was better to play on the woman's superstition than to appear clingy and self-conscious. During the later Christian conversion, it was in the interest of the church to claim that any mythological creature from Celtic paganism either didn't exist or was some kind of demon, and that it was your fault it was tormenting you because you allowed it to or you talked about it too much. Or, in other cases like the Selkie, some Christians believed that they were vessels for condemned souls, former humans that had committed suicide in the sea, or people who had committed sins in life, while others believed that they were fallen angels that could only transform every 7 years. It is believed that Christianity also created some strange traditions to do with the Selkie, even though these could more likely be the traditions of a small community. Whenever a woman would take her daughters by the sea, she and the daughters would all draw crosses on their body, usually on their chest and other areas. Women that thought that their husbands were cheating on them would also threaten to go to the beach to find a male Selkie to sleep with. And that would usually scare the husband into compliance, especially when he knew that he just simply could not match the phallic prowess of a male Selkie. So in some ways, the myth made men a little bit more careful about being unfaithful, or it encouraged them to make their wives happy. Though It did turn out to be a little bit of a double-edged sword, because some men would accuse their wives of sleeping with Selkies so they could disown their own children, saying that they were not theirs. A lot of attractive women that were either unlucky or simply refused to get married were also assumed to be a Selkie, which made people further reject them. It was something along the lines of being branded as a witch. Further north in Iceland, some people believed that Selkies were a kind of sea elf, and many people in Iceland still to this day are very, very serious about their elves. Their Selkies would be more mischievous than helpful if treated poorly. And there was also some superstition when it came to pregnant women eating seal meat, because it was believed that eating certain parts of the seal would make seal-like features appear on their newborn child. It was also believed that if two best friends shared the kidney of a seal together for a meal, they would then turn into enemies to the grave. Another story involving Selkies was that of a woman named Selkola, which means seal head. It began when a farmer and his wife went on a pilgrimage to have their baby daughter baptised. But on the way they walked through a pass between two large mountains, and in the middle of the mountains was a large stone which was named the Miklestein, meaning the Great Stone. While stopping here and realising they were completely alone, the man and his wife decided to create another mythological creature called the Beast with Two Backs, because their home was very crowded and they never got any privacy. But they had the baby with them, so they placed the baby on the other side of the stone where it couldn't be seen. Once they were finished and had cleaned themselves up, they got ready to continue their journey. But when they went around the other side of the stone to get their baby daughter, they saw that she was now dead, and she had an evil aura about her. This made the couple run terrified back towards their farm, but while they were running, they could hear their baby's cries echoing through the mountains. So they decided to go back because they thought that she must still be alive. And they went back and the baby was still there, but it was screaming loudly, and it had turned hideous, and it had a blue tinge to its skin. So again, the couple just left the child there and ran back to their farm, assuming that the child had turned evil. After their return, they told the people of their town what had happened, but most people didn't believe them, with some thinking that they had abandoned their child to die and were making up this story to cover their tracks. A group of local men got together to find and rescue the baby, but after arriving at the Great Stone, there was no baby to be found. But after that day, many people started to see a woman by the stone in the pass, and rumours spread that she had the face of a seal. From then on, they would call the stone Selkolestein, meaning the seal head stone. As usual with things that people can't understand, the local village was in uproar about this and assumed the woman to be some kind of troll or other type of evil being. When unfortunate events happened, such as farmers losing livestock, the seal woman was blamed. She was even accused of killing all of the seals on the coast, so the island's lifeline of blubber and seal skins was gone. And also, local men would say that she would seduce them while in disguise. Eventually, the farmers of the area decided to grab their torches and pitchforks and head to the seal head stone in order to kill the seal woman. But apparently when they got there, the angry mob were attacked by unknown beings, most likely Selkies, and a bunch of the farmers were killed in the process, which only further added to the stigma about the seal woman in the area. Not every story about the sealhead woman was negative, however. There are other stories of her helping women home after they got lost in snowstorms. The sealhead woman was recognised by the fact that when she knocked on a door, she did it so hard that it would shake the foundations of the house. But after the door was answered, the seal woman was nowhere to be seen. Only the person she had just helped would be standing in the doorway. It was believed that a bishop had eventually exorcised the seal woman from the land, which does strike me as a little bit of Christian propaganda, because it is rumoured that there were dozens of sightings of her in the same area for hundreds of years. Where is that area? Where is the stone? No idea, we couldn't figure it out. All we know is it's on one of the Scottish Isles, most likely the Orkney Isles. As with most mythological creatures, the Selkie was used to explain the unexplainable. And since there was a large amount of seals in the Orkney Isles, it isn't really hard to see how many people of the past would have used their existence to answer questions they didn't have the answers to. And they also made a great excuse if anyone wanted to cheat on their wife. "Oh, I'm sorry, I was bewitched, darling, it won't happen again." Which may have worked more often than not. But even though Selkies are only dangerous if you fuck with them, if you see one, it's probably for the best that you leave it alone.
It's Count Dankula on YouTube. Everybody subscribe.